4 very quick reasons why physical intimacy with a woman at any level that you're not married to is fraudulent, dangerous, and just as inappropriate for you, the single man, as it is for me, the married man. We are made in the image of God. We are to protect sisters in the Lord, not take advantage of them. We need to protect our eyes and heart and whole body for marriage. And we need to make good and early deposits in the marriage bank by holy living, even before we are married. Number 1, from the Old Testament, we're made in the image, we are made in the image of God. And that everything we are images God. So therefore, though theologians have denied this in the past, our bodies also bear God's image, and we should be careful with what we do with them. So looking at the New Testament then, Paul confidently writes, "Do you not know that your bodies are members of Christ himself? Shall I then take the members of Christ and unite them with a prostitute? Never," he says. "Do you not know that he who unites himself with a prostitute is one with her in body? For it is said, the two will become one flesh. But he who unites himself with the Lord is one with him in spirit. Flee from sexual immorality. All other sins a man commits are outside his body. But he who sins sexually sins against his own body. Do you not know that your body is a temple of the Holy Spirit, who is in you, whom you have received from God? You are not your own. You were bought at a price. Therefore, honor God with your body." That's 1 Corinthians 6. Now, those of you who are tempted or want to say, look, laying with a prostitute is a black and white issue, and of course I would never do that. Well, I want to say back to you that the issue here is that Paul's concerned about is, in fact, you. Being bought at a price by God should compel you to honor him with all that you have and all that you are, even with your body. You are an image bearer. Are you bearing the image of a holy God well by your conduct, how you conduct your relationships with the opposite sex? Number 2, we are made to protect sisters, not take advantage of them. Again, reading from 1 Thessalonians 4, beginning in verse 3, "It is God's will that you should be sanctified, that you should avoid sexual immorality, that each of you should learn to control his own body in a way that is holy and honorable, not in passionate lust like the heathen who do not know God, and that in this manner no one should wrong his brother or take advantage of him." Now, where the NIV says no one should wrong his brother or take advantage of him, the New American Standard Bible would say no one should defraud his brother. Defraud means simply to deprive of something by deception or fraud. Well, what do I mean by defrauding in this context? Simply put, by your conduct, your words and your actions, you paint a picture of future marriage with a woman, but in fact have no intention of marrying, and even if you did, you would have no way of finally knowing if you'll be married. Are you, in your relationships with single women, painting a false picture? Are you committing fraud? What you may consider innocent, holding hands, putting your arm around her in the pew, some light kissing, long talks over Starbucks coffee, they all send a message to that gal. And the message is, you are mine. You better be careful here. That gal, first and foremost, is your sister in the Lord. I trust none of us would do anything inappropriate with our own flesh and blood sisters. Well, how much more your sister in the Lord? It is true, she may become your wife, but she will always be your sister in the Lord. And you need to guard her heart, the wellspring of life. We know that from Proverbs 4. You also need to know that in regards to engaging any single woman, that statistically speaking, you are, as a married man, talking to a married woman, and there should be no difference in standards in your conduct with that woman than mine as an already married man. The woman you're talking to is in all probability going to be someone's wife. Maybe yours, but maybe not. You, in all probability, will one day marry. Conduct yourself in such a way that you will feel no embarrassment or shame in the future, not on earth and not in heaven. Verse 7, for God did not call us to be impure, but to live a holy life. Number 3, we need to guard our eyes and guard our hearts and guard our bodies for marriage. We always hear that first part, not the second. For marriage. And you won't know how critical this is until you're married. But trust us old married guys up here and know that it matters what you engage in before marriage. So how many times have we seen a Christian man or woman fall in love and get engaged only to have past relationships become no small part, no small factor during premarital counseling, or past physical relationships become impediments in the marriage bed? We don't want a brother standing at the altar on his wedding day looking at his beautiful bride only to mentally see behind her men and boys who took advantage of her and robbed her trust and confidence that she now needs to rebuild for her husband. We don't want to see her sister standing at the altar on her wedding day looking at her handsome groom only to mentally see behind him a string of relationships with girls and women that he failed to properly conduct, that are images from porn use and past flings that will stick with him for a long time.
We have a generation with computers, primarily. It's in the movies and in the television too, and it's in the magazines, no doubt. But with the computer access to pornography, the problems, basically what we have, young people, even the ones that are being saved, that are being well saved, that are coming out of these backgrounds, and you have so polluted your minds with images that, you know what, no matter how pure you are right now, no matter how much you're devoted to Christ right now, the fact is you've got images in your mind that they're there. And they'll come back, and you know it as well as I do. You'll just be in the middle of anything, and bang! Images can shoot into your head. You guys can keep remembering the same things you saw in the past, and it's not things necessarily that you're even doing right now as a Christian. It's things you did when you were lost, things you did when you were dead in sin, and they're coming back now. They're haunting you. Some of you are not being, even in your outward and physical conduct, you're not being chaste in your approach to this Christian walk.
If I've just described you, you may have a painful road ahead. But our God, as we've already heard, is a great deliverer. If you have failed or even presently are failing in this area, resolve to stop. For God's glory, for your own good, and in preparation for marriage. Guard your eyes and heart and your whole body for marriage.
Listen, I'm calling you guys to maturity. Paul was calling Timothy to make his progress evident, visible. I'm calling you folks to the same thing. When it comes to sexual purity, there is an expectation biblically, and so I have that expectation of you. Look, I'm not expecting that there won't be battles. I'm not expecting that some of you won't fall and rise up again and go on to fight. If you're claiming to be a follower of Christ, then there should be progressive maturity in this area in your life. And it ought to be visible, it ought to be evident, it ought to be something that is making strides. There ought to be visible manifestations of growth in this area of your life.
Number 4, we need to make good deposits in the marriage bank. And this idea is Probably foreign to most single guys. It was foreign to me. The wedding day is a formal ceremony used to charter a new bank, if you will, a marriage bank. Deposits and withdrawals will both be made at the marriage bank. You men will make deposits like holy living and faithfulness and gentleness and compassion and strength and prayerfulness and washing your wife in the Word. You need to know that your wife will draw on your deposits. She draws trust and confidence and faith. What most men don't understand is that though the marriage bank is not officially open until the wedding day, deposits can and will be made early. Men, when you are a husband and you go into the workplace among attractive, unbelieving women, will your wife have reason to doubt your fidelity based on your relationships, maybe even with her, prior to marriage? Or have you sown seeds of confidence and trust because you were so careful to protect her emotionally and protect her spiritually and protect her physically? When hard times hit your marriage, as they will always do, will she be able to draw down on those deposits, draw confidence and faith on those deposits that you made? Draw on prayerfulness on the deposits that you made. In short, know that what you do prior to marriage is not inconsequential to what happens in marriage. You will reap what you sow here, brothers. You need to sow well.